Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Field of 68's last call.
What's your go-to Applebee's order?
I don't go to Applebee's. We actually call it Crapplebee's, to be honest.
Who's the better team right now, Creighton, Marquette, or UConn?
Con.
What are you doing? What is that? Pray for fans. Oh, come on, Zach. Here we go. It's last call. Let's have some fun tonight, boys. It's last call for the Field of 68, the final holiday show before we all take a break, have some family festivities over the next couple of days. We got Jarrell McNeil, the legend, here. We got Terrence Oglesby, the legend, here, live from Dollywood. How his internet has made it to this point in the show. It's a Christmas miracle, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Greg. A major miracle, T.O. We're going to take the questions for the next 30 minutes, so keep them coming. Hit us in the chat, and we have our eyes on these. We'll get to all of them. So let's start jumping right in. This is from Spartan. He says, thoughts on Ole Miss? Where do they rank in the SEC? T.O., you want to take that one?
Oh, come on, man. How long have we known about Chris Beard being a great basketball coach? And I think he absolutely fell into Oxford, and they are lucky that he did. We know that Matthew Morrell can shoot. I think the biggest surprise in all of college basketball really has been this play of Alan Flanagan. This Ole Miss team is for real. They've got some real wins. We're going to see more. I understand that. We're going into SEC play as soon as the new year comes. But we know a couple of things about Chris Beard. He's going to get the absolute most out of his players, and them dudes are going to defend. I love Ole Miss. I like the way they're playing, and there's a lot to cheer for down there. It used to be the TAD. I'm not sure what it's called now, but there's a lot to cheer for down at the arena in Oxford. Chris Beard could really coach, and he's got some dudes down there.
Terrell, what do you think?
Same here, man. I think they're off to a really good start. They're a tough team. Like he said, Coach Beard really gets these guys to buy in on the defensive end, and right now they're rolling. And they got a couple guys that can put the ball in the hoop as well, too. But I think we'll really see what they're made of as we get here into conference play in the SEC, because they're gonna have quite a few tests up on the horizon. So I haven't seen a ton of really quality wins yet, but we'll see where they go once we get into conference play.
So I know that some of our colleagues here at the Field of 68 are more metric-driven, more analytically minded, however you want to say it. They like Ken Pom. Some don't, right? That's how this goes. Listen, let me let you in on a little secret. This is the best way to handle this side of this business. You use the Ken Pom numbers to fit your narratives when you need to, and then you ignore them to not fit your narratives when you need to. Here's a quick Ken Pom number for you, T.O. Ole Miss, 85th nationally on Ken Pom right now. That comes in just a few spots below UCLA. We sure that Ole Miss is that good?
I'm sticking with it. Okay. Let's keep in mind too, gentlemen, that Ken Pom needs a little while to catch up. That's my whole thing. They weren't very good last year. They need a little while to catch up. Those metrics, they still have some bias towards last season. They need a little while to catch up. I just feel like there's size across the board. Jamarion Sharp, like if he doesn't find a way on an NBA roster at 7'4", 7'5" to be a rim protector and lob threat, I'd be shocked. Musa Cisse got eligible. They've got guys who can score, and they got guys that can defend. I mean, Cisse was what, the defensive player of the year in the Big 12? Or at Memphis? I can't remember which one. He's transferred a couple of times. And then Jamarion Sharp, defensive guy at Western Kentucky prior to going to Ole Miss. They've got guys that can guard, and they've got rim protection. I'm in on Ole Miss. I'm in on Ole Miss, not only because of their personnel, but because of Chris Beard. I'm throwing that in there too.
I think you sold me. And also, T.O., let's be honest, in a 4-minute span, you could sell me on essentially anything on earth. So it is what it is. When you're sitting in a Dollywood lobby, I'm not going to say no to you. Moving on, we have Kevin saying, this is to me. He says, what do you make of MSU now? I don't know what I make of MSU now. They certainly look a lot better than they did 7 days ago. The Baylor win was extremely impressive. I also think they were as desperate could get, and it was an in-state game against the Baylor team that was undefeated and probably feeling themselves a little bit. But I'll say this, the shooting has turned around, and that was one of two major questions for this team is, can they shoot the basketball at all? And do they have any answer at center? And through this past week where they've really started getting better results, they have answered the question from a shooting perspective. A.J. Hoggard looks better. Trey Holloman's shot looks for real. He's giving them good minutes off the bench. Jaden Akins had a big night against Stony Brook. You're starting to see a team that doesn't look diabolically bad from outside the arc. They still don't have a good answer at center. Xavier Booker played more minutes than any other big they had against Stony Brook. I still don't think Tom Izzo trusts him against better opponents. I don't know if that's warranted or not, but until we see Xavier Booker in a larger role in the front court, I think there is a very low ceiling for this group, even if they do rack up some wins against lesser opponents. And the good news is, hey, guys, in the Big Ten, there's a bunch of lesser opponents. Michigan State can win 12 games in conference play. Just taking care of business against teams that aren't going to sniff the NCAA tournament. It is what it is. Do either of you have anything to add to that on my Spartans? Anything I got wrong there?
No, I'm with you mostly. I do want to add in that it's you talking poorly about the Big Ten and not me, which I've changed the narrative. That's a different thing. We're still moving forward. We're growing. Now, here's the thing. Michigan State's the same team that we all thought they would be at the beginning of the season. It's just they got off to a horrendous start. And they don't really have – let's be honest with you. Nebraska's better this season than they've been in previous years. Wisconsin's a tough out for anybody right now. Arizona and Duke. And, James Madison is still ranked. So you tell me where the bad loss is. All of that being said, they are going to have to start stacking some of these things. Kim Palm doesn't usually lie. I think they're lying a little bit. They're a little behind. Alluded to it when talking to Ole Miss, but they still have them pretty high in the metrics. I understand all that. But the last two wins, Oakland and Stony Brook, a little bit better of a test against Indiana State. Josh Schertz does a terrific job with those guys. But they're going to have to really play well in Big Ten play because really the Baylor win's their only marquee win when it comes to Selection Sunday outside of conference play. They're going to have to do well in conference. I think Izzo's gearing up just in time for them to be really good.
No, yeah. I agree completely, T.O. And just going off of that, I'll say that and that's kind of the intriguing thing about Michigan State. They don't have what you would say is a ton of bad losses. I do think they should have got the game in Nebraska. I do think they should have beat James Madison at home. But when you look at what those teams are doing right now, you can't really consider them bad losses. They're figuring it out. They came out and they had a must-win game, I feel like, against Baylor. And now we'll get to see or get a chance to see what they'll be able to do in conference season here. But they still got a lot of games left ahead of them to turn this thing around. I just need a little bit of a larger sample size to see or buy back in on the Michigan State bandwagon.
Yeah, talk to us in 3 games. That's my final word. They got Indiana State at home, Penn State at home, and then at Northwestern against Boo Buie. We've already seen what Northwestern can do against good teams. If they go 3-0 in that span, yes, I'm buying all Michigan State stock. 2-1, I still have some questions. Quick one here. This is from David.
If they go 3-0 over those next 3, that game at Illinois gets really interesting. That game at Illinois gets really interesting.
You're telling me, TL, it sounds like a Field of 68 road trip may be in order for the first time this season. I could be talking to that. A quick one from David Bentley. He says, is South Carolina a tourney team? Jarrell, what do you think?
As of right now, I would say no. I would say no for sure. They're not off to a bad start, but I think once we get back into conference play and they kind of just get bogged down with a ton of these tough teams going in, that they'll have a hard time getting in, especially with not a ton of quality wins or no quality wins right now.
I think right now, I actually think they are a tournament team. I think the only loss they have at Clemson by 5, and they actually competed even closer for the majority of that game. This is a good team at this moment. With their highest quality win, though, to go to his point, is a win over Virginia Tech. That certainly hurts. They're going to have to play well in SEC play. But I really like Lamont Paris and some of the talent that he has on that roster. They're good. It's the SoCon All-Stars. Line them up. Let them play Alabama. I'm fired up. I feel like South Carolina is pretty good. They could be on that bubble heading into Selection Sunday.
Yeah, I think bubble feels right to me. I don't disagree with anything you guys said, but I would just add, I don't know where the earliest Coach of the Year nominees get thrown out. I would throw Lamont Paris in that group for sure. Turn this program around from a team that won 11 games all of last season to 11 games in their first 12 games this season. And look, fellas, their one loss on the road at Clemson by 5 points. Like that looks like a fantastic loss at this point. And he's doing it with a lot of guys they added, right? BJ Mack, Miles Stute, Talon Cooper, all from the transfer portal, all instant impact types. I'm just wildly impressed with Ron Paris. We're going to go to break here. When we come back, we will be taking your questions again here live on the Field of 68's Last Call. We are back. Here is the Field of 68 Last Call. We are live taking your questions for the next 20 minutes before we go on holiday break. We got Jarrell McNeil here. We got Terrence Oglesby in the house. I'm Greg Waddell. Let's get right back to your questions. This one comes from Kyle. He says, what is more likely, Alabama makes a deep run in the NCAA tournament or they miss the tourney? I don't see a world where they miss the turn. I know they're 6-5, but like this is a good basketball team, right, guys? Jarrell, you're shaking your head.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And to be honest, I think outside of a handful, maybe 2 or 3 more teams, Alabama has probably played the toughest non-conference schedule that we've seen in the country this year. So obviously they've dropped some games, but they don't have bad losses. And to be honest with you, they're a really talented team who can fill it up and get hot. And I think at the end of the day, it's a lot more likely that they get in the tournament. They're going to stabilize a little bit as they come here into SEC play. But I think they get into the tournament easily. And then once they get into the tournament, if those guys are clicking and hitting on all cylinders, everybody better look out because they're definitely a team that can make it to the second weekend for sure.
Yeah.
They better freaking defend. Like they've got the number 1 offense in all of college basketball, and they've had it towards the top 5, top 10 for multiple seasons under Nate Oates right now. Mark Sears has been electric offensively. Grant Nelson has proven to be a pretty good piece. I mean, he struggled with the adjustment a little bit. He hasn't shot the ball as well as I think a lot of people envision he can eventually. But it comes down to defense. This team just isn't guarding as well as what you would think they're capable of, considering the athletes that they have on that team. All of that being said, guys, from an efficiency perspective, offensively, Alabama's as good as anybody. They have been all season long. Now they need to find ways to put games together. Look, I also understand no really bad losses. Ohio State, Clemson, Purdue, Creighton, Arizona. You alluded to their strength of schedule. Jarrell, really good. It's just a matter of you got to win some of these games. Like it's all great. And here's kind of the problem with the net, and this is a whole other conversation. They don't really lose much ground by playing these games close. Like you have to win some of these games to prove to yourself and prove to your fan base that, hey, I deserve to get into the NCAA tournament, or even prove to the selection committee that they deserve to be there. You can't just play these games. You got to win some of these games. Biggest game against Oregon. I get all that. They beat Arkansas State by 24, who turned out to beat Louisville. So I guess that's a good win. That's their second best win. But like you got to.
Hey.
I'm throwing shit. Don't you worry.
I'm sorry. Indiana State's a good win, though. 22-point win against Indiana State. That looks pretty good. But I
Indiana
hear
State's
your point,
good.
Theo. Yeah. I hear T.O.'s point, though, right? Like, if you just stack ranked every game Alabama has played, they've lost the top 5, they've won the bottom 5. That's not good, right? That needs to change. My high suspicion would be that does change once they get into conference play. They also have a pretty easy open stretch right now. Not to call anybody easy, but like they go on the road to Mississippi State January 13th. That's 5 games from now. Other than that, they're favored in their next 6 games, including that game at Mississippi State. Then they've got Tennessee and Auburn. We'll see what they're really made of. But to me, this team has proven that they're good. Like this, you don't lead Purdue for 20 minutes and not be a good basketball team. You're not on the road against Creighton playing them in a dogfight through 30 minutes and not this is a good basketball team. The results have flipped the wrong way. They just need to see some come through the hoop. Matthew has a question. He says, what are your thoughts on
Indiana State has come up in this show enough to make me happy. Josh Schertz, man. Hey, look, he's got some recruiting advantages, recruiting kids to Terre Haute. I get all that. But like my man is doing a nice job there. He's doing a nice job.
Shout out to my guy Robbie Avila, aka Goggles. He's a baller, man. One of my kids from Mean Streets. He's a Chicago area kid too.
Hey, that's Missouri Valley Jokic right there.
Yeah, that's what they call him, the Jokic of the Missouri Valley.
I love you. I love the 2 of you, like long lost brothers. I really do. But what you're doing right now is disrespectful to the true Missouri Valley Jokic, Cameron Krutwig. Okay, it's been like 7 years. That was the original Missouri Valley.
He's better than him.
Ooh. We'll see if he gets the NCAA tournament.
I said it.
We'll come back. All right. This is from Matthew. He says, what are your thoughts on Butler Providence tomorrow? Let's throw this back to Jarrell since he's our resident Big East expert. What do you think?
I'm going to go with Providence. They showed me a lot in that last game versus Marquette. I think they're another one of the teams. They got a good blend, obviously, with Kim Inglis being the first-year head coach, but they got some guys who have been there with Carter and Bryce Hopkins and those guys, and a good blend of young guys as well too. But I think they'll get Butler tomorrow. But Butler has been really impressive though thus far, and I think that, like I said this on the last show, I think right now if the Big East is gonna get 5 to 6 teams in, I think right now Butler is definitely in that 5 to 6 teams right now, and we'll see if they're able to put together a couple more quality wins in conference play as well too. But I like the way that they're doing it. The Amada's doing a great job. And those guys are playing together. They kind of got like a balanced scoring attack. Nobody's blowing you away with numbers, but they all bought in. They defend well. They got a pretty good team. So I'm rolling. I like Butler, but I think Providence wins this one tomorrow.
T.O.?
I love Posh Alexander in a different system. Man, this is the best compliment I can give somebody. He is a game wrecker. He takes the point of attack, your point guard, out of every game he plays in. You can't, if you switch and you try to post him up, he battles his tail off there. He's 6'2", 205. He should be playing tailback for the Colts. He is that big. He is a big time player, especially on the defensive end. Look, he has his flaws. I get all that. Love what Thad has done with him and this roster in general. They've been the biggest surprise in the Big East, and I'm not sure it's close at this point. Very, very good. And the thing is, they're playing at the AMP, correct? That game is at the AMP. Nobody's winning at the AMP, baby. They used to call it the Dunk. They earned that. The AMP is an elite venue, and Providence fans have been all over me here lately. But I'm still a believer. I just had to see it to believe it. I believe it. Providence is very good. I think Providence takes it, and Providence competes at the top of the Big East.
This game's at Providence, right? I believe. Anybody fact check me? I'm pretty sure it's at Providence.
Yeah.
It's at Providence. Providence wins. That's what I've learned through 1 week of Big East play. Right. Just tell me who the home team is. That's who wins the game. Apparently, that's how this conference works. I don't know. We'll just rock with that. Quick one here. This is from Brady. Thoughts on Florida State attempting to leave the ACC? T.O., what's going on there?
The whole thing is gross. I saw where it was going to cost like over $570 million to leave the conference in order to get $30 million more a year. I'm confused, and I understand there's frustration. I get all that. They're trying to pay 60% of what's really owed. I get all that. It doesn't make sense, especially with the automatic bid in football. Keep Florida State on the East Coast and the Atlantic Coast, and have them continue playing. I love Leonard Hamilton. I love that whole crew. Keep them in the Atlantic Coast Conference. I get the grief. It's enough now. Time to sit down, be quiet, and go to your corner.
From the voice of the ACC, you heard it here first. Hey, we're going to come back after break to take some Christmas questions. That's next on Last Call. We are back on the last call here at the Field of 68. Final 10 minutes of this very show that we all know and love so much. Before we all go on holiday break, let's make it a good 10 minutes. We got Terrence Oglesby in the house. We got Jarrell McNeil in the house. My name is Greg Waddell. We're going to go rapid fire style. We're going to get through some of the wildest questions the chat had to offer us tonight. This starts with Kyle. He says, at what point does the Big Ten need to change their name? Parentheses, 18 teams now? Yeah, I mean, give us 30 teams. Give us 50 teams. The important word in Big Ten is big. We're the big one, okay? We're the big conference. The sport runs through us, whether it's football, whether it's basketball. We got the best team in the country right now in basketball. We got the best team in the country right now in football. It is what it is. Call us what you want. T.O., what would you call my conference?
I don't know, but you've been calling it the Littleton up until that very rant right there. So I need some clarification of where we're at with the Big Ten and Greg Waddell. I need some clarification before I even speak further.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I'm not a big eggnog guy. I'm more of like a Jack Daniels on the rocks guy. So I'm about 3 cups of this in right now. It's the holiday spirit talking, T.O. And if I need to pick a name, call us the big one. Call us the big one. Yeah, I might affectionately refer to my conference as the little 10, the tiny 10 every now and then. But we're like, the sport kind of runs through us right now. Jarrell, what do you think?
I think they definitely need to lose the numbers. It's something that I feel like somebody didn't think about, or they didn't have conference realignment in mind when they started throwing the numbers on the end. Just take they did a nice job with the BIG. Just take that and run with it. Let's just make it the Big Anything Conference because they got teams sprawled out all over the place. They're going to be on the West Coast, the Midwest, the East Coast. Who knows where this thing is going next or what's going to happen next. So let's just get something that's a stable name that kind of applies to everybody.
Jarrell speaking my language. I love that. All right, new question. This is from Joe. He says, this might be my favorite question in last call history. If you had to pick one team in the country that you hate, who is it? We are going to throw this to Terrence Oglesby first, because if there's one person who I know who will not go on record and ever say anything negative about anyone, it's Terrence Oglesby. Who you got?
Yeah, that's a hard one for me. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that.
Whoa,
I'm sorry, guys.
T.O.
I'm going to. Have I ever refused you a question, Greg? Never.
No, you haven't. But you, based on your earlier comments, couldn't you just throw out Louisville and call it a day?
I was thinking about it. ELE. Everybody love everybody. That's where I'm at.
Understood. All right, Jarrell, please don't dodge my question. I can't have two guys on the panel dodging questions.
I don't know. I really don't care anyway. The Iowa Hawkeyes. I think that's a pretty easy answer for me. I hate them, T.O. I hate watching them, at least. I'll say that much. I don't know any of the guys personally, but I hate watching them. My God. Such a bad brand of basketball.
Okay, so I'm going to say this. I've done a bunch of games for Fox. I've done a bunch of games for ESPN, all these different companies. The team that I've hated covering more than anybody was Coppin State. And the reason
that's a good
the reason I hated covering Coppin State was, one, I understand what Larry Stewart was doing. He's a first-year head coach. He's doing all that. Has nothing to do with him. I like Larry. I thought Larry was very personable, and I understand what he's trying to do. Get a bunch of alums back on staff and rally the troops. Get people who are passionate in Coppin State. Problem is, if you're not there, you're doing games with numbers. Their numbers are Navy, their jerseys are Navy, and their outlines are nothing. It's gold. It's about this small. It's impossible to see. And if you're not there in person, those jerseys are miserable. They are horrible. You can't find them. You can't call the names. It's an insanely difficult team to cover.
All right, fair answers there. I could unpack Jarrell's Iowa answer for hours. We'll save that until I'm at a bar with you, Jarrell, and then we'll talk it through one night.
Yeah,
my quick hate. There's two college basketball teams I hate specific to this season. The first is Michigan if Juwan Howard is head coaching them. The second one is Indiana. I just think they play really ugly basketball. I think they like. I want more threes. I don't want less threes. And they seem settled on not shooting any threes. I don't like that at all. New question here from Tommy. What's your guys' favorite Christmas movie? T.O., what's your favorite Christmas movie?
I like the Christmas Story where the kid tries to get a BB gun and his parents say he's going to shoot his eye out.
Oh, God. It's the best.
I love that movie. That's the best movie. Was it the red?
Was it the eye out? It's the red rifle. Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
I love that. It's my favorite. And his dad gets the leg. His dad gets the leg that he puts up in the front of the window.
The lamp. Yeah, the lamp.
That is the best.
It's a good movie. Jarrell, what's your answer?
Look, and T.O. took mine because that's definitely my all-time favorite Christmas movie. I still remember when they used to do like the 24-hour marathon of a Christmas Story, but I'll go with this one because I know it'll get a little bit of a debate. Die Hard. Boom.
Oh!
That's wild. Hey, slept on the Muppets Christmas Carol. I love that.
The Muppets.
Nothing wrong with that. All right. My favorite is Elf for the record. New school. T.O., what's your favorite Dolly Parton song? Send us out of here.
I can't remember right now. This has been a
Woo-hoo! It's the Field of 68. Merry Christmas, everybody. We'll see you.